He has rage. Kazuya with the red dress on.
Drive is over.
Oh, God dang it! With the pop-off, throws his headphones to the floor. Look at that. Ladies and lads, handshake all around the head. Victory for Brian Hart, Europe and the UK. What a set!
What up, homies? It's BornFree here. This is a very long video, so if you are short on time, use the timestamps to get to specific questions or topics that you're interested in. They are in the description below, also in the pinned tweet for mobile users. There are also podcast options, which I will be expanding in the future, but you can find those in the description if that's your style. Big thank you to our Street Fighter and everybody who supported me in regards to sending me to Evo. Remember, all of these interviews were recorded just before or during Evo, so you understand the context of the timing, because I know a lot of shit has happened at Evo and post Evo. I'm also using new equipment. I was experimenting around from interview to interview, so with various things, whether it be settings and the camera, lighting, sound, and general setup. Some of it I'm happy with, some of it I'm a bit like, but it is what it is. And that's it. Please enjoy. Interesting life, like particularly to be homeless in England, I can't even imagine, because it's not like, this is warm, you know, like it's warm in New York right now, but like in England, it's even the summers are pretty cold at night.
It was quite peaceful actually. I never really got into that much trouble. People kind of left me alone. It just got difficult socially because
you didn't want to talk about it.
Because what do you do? Well, I'm doing this. You know, like it's just. I think inside I didn't want to be this person that has to be quiet, because I used to be really quiet at the arcades. But because I was super dominant, people used to think that was like an arrogance thing. I think he's better than us, he's not talking to us. I was just petrified of like the scenario, because there had been situations that were really awkward, like, oh, we're going for food now, do you want to come? And I really want to go, but like that's my last money, and I don't want to ask anyone. I don't want them to know my situation, so but saying no looks like, I think I'm too good for So I faced a lot of that no one knew about for a lot of years. So that was even today looking back, I don't really know what I could have done differently. Certain scenarios were just very difficult. That's all. Or you go to the restaurant, you order the cheapest thing, and it looks weird. You like everyone's getting a meal.
Right, and then or like
you're just there with your chicken and sweet corn soup.
But I mean, the other thing is in England, it's not like calculators out. What did you eat? What did you eat? In England, it's rounds.
All go even.
Drinks, it's rounds, and everybody go even. It's just the way it is. So it used to be, at least when I at that time.
Fair enough.
I remember.
Yeah.
So I can imagine that being pretty difficult.
So that for a while,
Before we get on to, I wanted to move on to Evo and the Tekken, winning Tekken, because those are important. But before we get onto that, what's the story behind the name Prodigal Son?
The Prodigal Son nickname comes from a 1981 martial arts film starring Yun Biao.
That's so funny, because when you look it up, right, it's like a parable or whatever from like the fucking Bible.
Yeah, it's nothing to do with the Bible story at all.
Okay,
nothing to do with that.
Sorry, carry on.
So this 1981 martial arts film, the name came about when I was winning a lot at the time.
Yeah.
And the name came about because there's this kid in The Prodigal Son, the main character, who thinks he's all that. He thinks he's really sick at martial arts, but actually doesn't know that his dad pays his opponents to lose.
Oh!
He's actually crap. He thinks he's sick, innit?
Oh!
And that was me trying to have a modest take on winning a lot. If I could be this idiot, it's kind of funny, right? I just think I'm good, but like
this is so English. This is so English, because like the story behind my name, apart from the fact that I grew up with BornFree the movie and all that shit, right, is actually because I was obsessed with the term free.
Right.
Like being because I didn't think I'm not that good at fighting games, right? I can do interviews and stuff, and I can have fun and all that, but I'm not like a Ryan Hart, like far from it. And so when I came to New York, I was fascinated by the word free, like you're free, and so I was,
coupons.
So I was like born free, I'll just go with that, because like whatever.
Right.
And both names are self-deprecating. You know,
okay, yeah,
that's that English thing, that self-deprecation. Like, it's one of the biggest things. I'm just going to steal a moment from this interview just to talk about this. It's one of the biggest differences between Americans and the UK. At least it was. It may have changed a bit now, but it used to be that self-deprecation, Americans just didn't get it. And when because I came here 13 years ago, right? And I would make these jokes, and people just would think I was an idiot.
What's wrong with him?
Yeah, because
what's his problem?
Well, yeah, I'll never forget. I got introduced to the client. I was good at my job. I got introduced to the client, and by this woman who was, she just didn't get it at all. And she introduced me to the client, and this client was like, "Oh, you know, you're taking over this aspect of the business. That's really good." And I said, "Yeah, it's all going to go downhill now." You know, and the other woman, the client got it, right? The client got it. Like, she understood I was joking around. But the woman who was supposed to be on my team looks at me and goes, "Well, that's not very good." Like I'm going to say that seriously. Like, I'm really seriously.
Some people are not good at not taking everything super literally.
Yeah.
There's no irony in their world. It's just, if you say it, if it comes out your mouth, it's God's given gospel, and that's the end of it. You know. So they think you mean every literal word.
Well, that shit 100% doesn't work on Twitter. You need the emojis, otherwise, like, people ain't gonna understand that you're being dry. But that's a whole nother story. All right, so can we fast forward to, unless there's anything missing, but can we fast forward to, you won 2 Evo championships with Tekken Tag Tournament, the first one?
Tekken Tag Tournament.
Yeah. In 2004.
Yeah.
And Tekken 5 in 2008.
Yeah.
Right? Was that, like, at that time, were you sort of just focusing primarily on Tekken, or were you still playing all games?
I was still playing all games.
Actually, what were you doing in America playing at Evo?
Well, my American...
Because at that time, it was still early days.
Yeah, my stints in America stemmed from my 2001 trip to Cali, when I went to Electric Council 3. And it was to challenge...
That sounds exactly like the kind of tournament. That sounds the name.
Yeah.
Sounds like
it's a sick tournament.
Cali tournament.
Sick tournament.
Electric Boogaloo.
I wanted to challenge the American champion. On Tekken Zaibatsu, there'd been a lot of talk about him. I'd seen a few of his videos, and he looked really good. His name's JOP. I watched him play Ogres. He was amazing. I was like, oh my god, I need to play this guy.
Okay.
And I was really, really good at Tekken Tag at that time. I was very confident, and one of my main sparring partners also used Ogre and Schröger, his team. So I was quite confident that I know the matchup. Like, I think I could do okay. But I watched some of his matches, and my sparring partner, who was the European champion at the time, and JOP were both really good, but very different styles. So I wasn't sure if, but maybe my style with Nishima's won't work against this Ogre player because of his stuff. So I wanted to play against him. So yeah, I flew out to the US. But that's how I was. Like, there was never a sponsorship then in them times. Everything I did then was just working full time, saving money and flying out.
Yeah.
Taking the weekend off or whatever. Taking the week
you
off.
didn't get the free Namco sandwich.
No, nothing like that.
Yeah.
So, but that's the thing. There's also like a lot of organization as well, because you have to plan. You have to book your holiday in advance, book your time off work.
Yeah.
Go there, save up the pretty pennies, book the flight. And if you're lucky, there'll be someone that can house you locally. So I went there and played the American champion, and I won 26-21, which was I was really happy with that.
Wait,
and then
26? What was it? 50 first to 50?
First to 26.
First to 26?
Yeah, it was a stupid random number. I don't know. I pulled that out of my ass clearly, but yeah, it wasn't. It didn't have to be 26. Such a stupid. But I just didn't want to do first to 10. So first to 20 probably would have been alright as well. I just wanted to be more than first 10, because Tekken Tag 1 is a super strategic game where you can get bulldozed a few games in a row before you get going, or vice versa. If you bulldoze him 5-0, it doesn't mean he's not good. He might beat you 5 back. And it's just one of those games where the momentum is so strong that, it's hard to get it back. But and because of that, and also because it was a special thing, I really wanted us to use everything on each other. That's why I did this long thing. But yeah, I have no idea why it was 26. But yeah, so I won that. During that time, they didn't really have anyone that utilized the Mishimas to like their full potential. So
in the States,
in America, there wasn't anyone at that time. So when I came, a lot of people came up to me and said, "Oh, we've never seen Mishimas like that. that's amazing, that movement, you know, doing the electrics like that and stuff like that, the tech catches, they'd never seen anything like that. And I remembered saying those exact same things to the Korean that showed us the Korean in the UK. So it's like this Korean guy, his name is Bong Bong. Anyone from back in the day, UK Tekken will know him. Bong Bong, I remember getting a phone call. I was on the bus almost home, and I got a phone call and they said, Ryan, there's this Korean guy here, he's barring everyone, he's got 40 wins in a row, you got to come down, you know. And I went down there and I mained Paul Phoenix on Tekken 3. And he showed us like wave dash and stuff. We'd never seen wave dash before. What's that? What do you mean wave dash? what is that? We didn't call it wave dash then, but he's just doing this weird movement. We don't know what he's doing. He's doing crouching moves from a standing position. What is this? It's more sorcery, like, you know. And he was battering everybody. I played him with Paul, and we went even. And so it was really entertaining for everyone to watch, because finally someone can beat him. You know, he's playing even. And me and Bon Bon became rivals instantly. And every tournament, it was like, what's going to happen when Ryan meets Bon Bon? And it was great playing him. I met him randomly last year here at Evo. It was so cool. He bumped into me. And I was like, oh my God. So the nostalgia was already there. But yeah, he showed us Wave Dash in 1997 or 8 or something. And then in 2001, because after that I developed Mishimas, a little bit on Tekken 3 and then more on Tekken Tag 1. And when I went to America, they hadn't seen a lot of Mishimas. You know, they some new bits, but most of the players I encountered were like, oh my God, this is, what's this? So yeah, and they didn't seem to have anyone who made Mishimas with that style of Mishimas, you know, with the movement and everything. People played Mishimas, you know, they were really good characters, but no one really had all the tech with Mishimas then. So I felt really happy that I could show something that was different, you know, doing, you know, while standing cancels, waving into hell sweep, tech catches, swapping the camera angles so that the move hits from the other side, so it's like a cross up. Just, yeah, all kinds of things that like we'd labbed and, you know, worked out. And yeah, I ended up getting third in the tournament. It's one of the most famous moments from that tournament is when my stick broke in tournament. There's a moment where I get a launch, but no juggle comes up because the button breaks. And I get so angry, I get up and I throw the stick down and I say, bollocks! And it's the most British thing you could come out with, right? So everyone remembered that because, first of all, it's like, what did he just say? And then second of all, it's like, oh my God, because I hadn't really shown a lot of emotion, but now I'm really angry and I lost to JOP, and he's a great guy, so I didn't really mind losing to him as an opponent. But the situation was really frustrating because I've launched a guy, like I'm gonna get my combo now and I'm probably gonna win this round, and now nothing's happened and now he's got up and won and now it's, you know, it's over. So and I think for the rest of that whole set, that was in my head, that man, I've dropped that combo, I get it. Why did because I swapped stick and used someone else's stick that I'm not that familiar with, and then so it's you're going through all kinds of problems.
Which year was this?
This is Winter Finals, 2001.
2001, so you all had fight sticks in 2001?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you had to have your stick or your pad. Oh, definitely. I had like an old Namco, grey Namco stick with yellow buttons. Well, like I think it was Namco's first ever actual arcade stick.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, their first ever. Maybe their only ever. I think they, yeah. I know Sony had an official one, but that wasn't that good. So yeah, I was there for that. And then I dropped down to, that was winner's final, dropped down to loser's final, and I played Jiangsu 1 from Korea. And I lost 3-2, like really close, on this new stick. So that, while that's good, I was already really gutted that, like, man, if I'd had my stick, might have been different and stuff. So yeah, that was my first US visit. So I got third at a big tournament, so it was a great outing from that, you know, perspective. But at the same time, I was also a contender to win, and also being very competitive, I did really think, like, man, I should have at least got to the grand finals and played Jiangsu 1 in the final, in a situation where it's not sort of loser's final kind of thing, you know. But yeah, it is what it is. Now they all, you know, Jiangsu 1 and JOP played phenomenally well, so, like, you know, shout outs to them. But yeah, that was my first trip to the US. And then I think once I realized I could do good in the US, when Evo came around, the first actual Evo, not like Battle of the Bay, because you know, Battle of the Bay is a different design of a tournament, right? But yeah, when Evo came on 2003, and I found out a bit more about it, and I was on Tekken Zaibatsu then, and found out that the Korean champion was coming, Kim Bong-min. So I asked, like, can I challenge him? And everyone started flaming, man. They were like, who do you think you are? You're just from the UK, you're no good. And it was weird because, but I've been to you're like, you've seen me play, what do you mean? But they just were completely infuriated, were fully infuriated with me even having the audacity to challenge the Korean champion. Like, how dare you, kind of thing. And it wasn't out of It wasn't out of arrogance or anything. It was just, I've played all the good players in Europe, and you know, I've beaten all of them at some point, and there are some that I go more even with. But I feel like my experience level on the game now puts me in a position to want more. Like I can learn now. I can learn more. I know the matchups with all the characters really well. So let me see what the Korean champion can teach me. It was very much a learning experience for me. It wasn't I'm going to go and destroy this guy. It was, well, you know, I've kind of exhausted my resources here. Let me try and expand my horizons by going and challenging this. I mean, he's the Korean champion, so he knows what he's doing. You know. So, but they completely took it the wrong way. It's like, oh, you think you're the best just because you've won this and that. You know, you have to know that you're nothing against the Korean player. What's wrong with you? And so that was that. So it turned out that I wasn't allowed to play this guy unless I put some money up. But I don't have that much money. I mean, I'm already like sweating blood to like book the flight. You know, like I mean, it's not fair. So I put up an amount that I could afford to lose, basically, because that's what it was. It was, I'm going to lose this money, so let me just like shut these people up. And then all these Americans money matched me on the forum. They're like, well, after he's mopped you up, I want a piece of you as well, and I want a piece of you. And all them, they all lined up. They all got in line to take a piece of Ryan, you know?
Yeah.
And it was, again, this first to 26 thing. And I went to the US, and Castell from Tekken Zaibatsu, he hosted it at his house. And we played, it was a 4-hour-long challenge. And I beat the Korean champion. 4-hour-long challenge, and I beat the Korean champion 26-21, exactly the same score as when I played the American champion.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was the first time anyone from the West had beaten a Korean champion on Tekken.
That's amazing.
That was a history-making moment.
Right.
And all the people that money matched me, every single one of them cancelled.
They cancelled?
All the people, every single person.
You can't cancel a money match.
Nobody wanted to play me. Once I beat him, that was it. I kind of wish I'd gotten to play them first, because there was no YouTube back then. So, I mean, actually there was, but we didn't have, it wasn't like now where you can literally put in anyone's name from the FGC and you might get a match or two, even if it's online. It wasn't like that. Like, there were matches on FTP servers all over the place. There was things like that, but...
They cancelled.
They all said, they didn't even say, like, oh, sorry, we actually didn't know that you were that good. We're okay now. You know, we don't want to play. they were still posting on the forum, but just not talking about that. You know. And then sometimes I would post, oh, by the way, about our match, and then no reply. Nobody challenged me.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Did you speak to the Korean guy?
Afterwards, yeah, he said he didn't know I was going to be that good. He was very... halfway through the set, he stopped the set and said, "Oh my God, you're really good." That was
really
in the middle of the set. Yeah, I really like that.
Wow.
That was a really nice moment where he just wanted to take 5 seconds to say, "He's strong over there."
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really nice moment.
And that was...
and I was already thinking he's really good in my head.
This is on PlayStation?
This was, PS2.
Okay.
Yeah, this is PS2.
Yeah.
And yeah, we both tested the water because we both could use a lot of characters. So in the beginning, he tried to pick ogres on me. I was using Mishimas, and then later on, I picked like Bruce and Brian. Like, we just want to see are there cracks, are there chinks in the armor that we can exploit, you know? And eventually, it just came down to Mishimas, like solid tanks all the way. Yeah, and that was it. But yeah, he had a moment, man, of like, wow, you're really good, and it was nice because my stance on the challenge was to take everything that I'd learned in Europe and bring it to him. Yeah. Same as when I went to the US the time before. One thing that I decided to do is I asked every single player in Europe what I can do better to improve my game. All the people that I've battered, all the people that have never beaten me before, I went to them and asked them for help. I asked them all for advice. I wanted to make sure that when I play these guys, it's going to be all of Europe together playing. It's not just me. And I don't agree with, well, I can beat this guy, so there's nothing he can teach me. That's nonsense. People that you're better than can teach you things about the game that you don't know, that you haven't considered. And people that are better than me, I can teach them things. Just because they're better than me doesn't mean that there's nothing that I can't teach them. So, because I had that mindset, I asked people that I've beaten, what am I doing wrong? What are my weaknesses? Where can I improve? I asked all these people and they helped me. They told me stuff. Hey, you do this too much, or you're not using this enough, or here, you need to think like this. Like, everyone helped me. So it was definitely not just I beat the Korean guy. It was definitely like a collaborative effort when I went to America to play
this mindset, right? So as we talk, like, basically it feels like you've had this interesting mindset or mindsets about like from a very young age, right? At least, you know, as an 18-year-old or a 16-year-old or whatever, right? It seems like you had quite a mature mindset when it came to like getting serious about these games, and you know, like the idea of maybe understanding in the moment that you need to get beaten in order to improve, and then later on understanding that you need to ask everybody, how can I get better? Like, does that come from somewhere, or is that just innately you? Did you have a mentor? Well, I guess what I'm saying is, was there a mentor? Was there someone who taught you? Did you look up something and somebody was doing similar things to what you were doing, or that's just the way you approached it?
Mentors too much, but there was a guy before me that was the champion, and he definitely inspired me to want to be a champion as well. But he wasn't my mentor though. Like, we didn't have that kind of relationship, you know. He's someone that I just watched from afar at the arcade, and he was the best. And then when I was coming up, he connected with me in the Tekken area. This is where we connected on Tekken. He was the Tekken 2 national champion, and he was the Super Street Fighter 2 national champion. The first time I ever went to a tournament in my life, 1994, he won that tournament, being like a Japanese guy. Like, he was sick. Yeah. In the UK, in Trocadero, that tournament was in Trocadero, sponsored by Kiss FM. way back in the day, right?
Yeah, Paul Trouble Anderson, let's go.
I think it was still a private radio station.
94? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. So, yeah, you know, way back, right? So watching him play was very inspirational, because he used to do these like insane reads or these crazy clutch comebacks where he's like only got a pixel of health and he'll win the round when the guy's got every, like, he's the first one I ever saw actually pulling these kind of feats off in live environments, innit? So that there was definitely some inspiration from there. When I started getting better, we played each other. We became like rivals a little bit. And then he kind of, you know, simmered down the playing area, and I kind of stepped up. Like when Tekken 3 came out, he kind of played less and I played more and more. So at Tekken 2, he kind of passed me the torch, and then I took it over for the UK.
But like his mindset, did he pass anything, like, because your mindset seems to be one of learning, and like, I don't know, that's just not very natural. That's not very natural to me. Like, to me, it's like you go in, you play, you know, maybe you lose, and I don't know. I never had that mindset. That's why I'm asking, because it's very foreign to me. Okay,
so I think one of the areas that helped me develop that mindset was my best friend at the time. He was super smart. He's a genius, but he wasn't able to deliver the stuff that he could think about on the game. He could think up stuff that he couldn't deliver with his hands because he didn't have fast hands. So he couldn't do like the complex combos or you know, really complicated parry sequences or whatever, because he just couldn't perform the stuff. But he could think up what was possible, and I could deliver. He'd be like, why don't we do that? And I'd try it, and I'd be able to make it work. You know, there'd be strategies that we'd think up, and then he'd try and do it, and he couldn't execute the strategy. But then I could. So really, from a really early period, I recognized that just because someone can't show it on the screen doesn't mean that their input is not valuable. So that's something that developed my mind to think differently about the way I approach people.
You started to think,
like that.
you started to realize that even though this is an individual, I don't want to call it sport, but an individual competitive endeavor or an individual gaming event, like, I mean, like, it's down to the individual. Ultimately, all these people can help me.
And also I can help people even though I'm not that good. That helped me feel involved. Even though I wasn't that good of a player, I have a place here. This is my home. So on both sides of the fence, it helped me to like to be more a part of the...
It's really interesting because there is often a question about, you know, everyone talks about community, right? But like the community is loosely defined as like a group of people who have a shared interest.
It's more like a melting pot, I think. You know, it's just so much of everything in one place.
Right, but what you're describing is a bit more. You know, it's a lot more sharing, and it's something that certainly. No, the American FGC was talking about it a long time ago when they were seeing the like they used to compare themselves to the Japanese, and they would say, well, the Japanese, they share tech so they can get better, and the Americans, they hoard tech because, you know, they had regional rivalries and all that
the
sort of stuff.
Japanese have a lot more resources as well, because even before the internet was big, they had MOOCs, you know, these magazine books which had all the frame data in for every character.
Oh, they did?
There were strategy sections.
Bloody
The
hell.
books came with DVDs which had sessions from all the pro players, so you can see what the game looks like at high level with all the characters. So if you've got a character in mind, that character's on there, so you can learn how that character looks. So from the get-go, Japan has had much better resources on video games, on every game. I mean, there are bookstores where there are floors, you know, dedicated to just video games. Every book on that floor is about a video game, a different game, a music game, an RPG, different kind of strategy games, action games, side-scrolling games, shoot-em-ups, fighting games. Like every genre of game is on that floor somewhere. You just got to find the book. You just got to ask the storekeeper where that is.
That's
so
amazing.
I because this is also a big conversation as well. Like, when do I need to learn frame data? Do I need to learn frame data? Why? What happens if I don't? What does my playstyle look like? So
There's a couple of panels, I think, this weekend on frame data.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
When I first went to Japan, that's when I first started recognizing how important frame data is. Before that, I'd won, but the thing is, I was already a champion. I was already a national champion. I was already a European champion for certain games, but I didn't know the frame data really, if I'm honest. I didn't know, because I just knew when I had the advantage. After this, I can do an extra move. After that, I have to block. Like, that. You've got the idea.
Yeah.
But I didn't know if I was +3 or 4 or 5. There's times I could have been +20, but I would have acted like I'm just a little bit of an advantage ahead because I didn't really know the numbers. But going to Japan and seeing how they were able to perfectly utilize strategies where you just couldn't get a move in edgeways because they're frame tight. I think also, if you know the frames, you can start playing in a way where once you've recognized he doesn't know the frames, the only strategy you need to employ is that you just play by the frames.
Right.
Because you'll never lose then. If you just play by the frames with a player that doesn't know and eventually that is going to create an advantage on your side.
God, there's so much to cover, and I feel like we've already done a lot of time. So, and I kind of want to talk about Street Fighter as well, since our Street Fighter sent me.
I got time.
And we haven't even talked about the Evos that you won. We talked about some real fun stuff, though, that's for sure, which I think is probably more valuable, possibly. But actually, I want to talk about the thing I want to talk about, right, is something I asked you ages ago, which kind of ties into your mindset.
Okay.
But I remember in 2014, you lost to Momochi at Capcom Cup, right? You were playing Ryu, he was playing Ken. You were in the last round. It went down to the last round, and it looked like, I mean, you took this huge life lead, right? And he had this epic, it's one of the most epic comebacks I've ever seen, given what was on the line, what was happening. Yeah. And I'll never forget that after he had this comeback with Ken, right? I remember you standing up and just sort of like thinking.
Every time they've got on against each other.
Big
and
jump.
A great jump to start the round for Ryan Hart.
Risky jump or risky fireball from Momochi, but that's been working out for the most part there. He's enjoying these little funky fireballs. And now it's on Momochi to try to make this comeback. Oh, very cautious. Jumping over but doing nothing. And now Momochi, he's far away, he's building a little bit of meter.
He looks lost. He looks confused, and Ryan Hart is taking this round.
Man,
and he gets the crumple.
I agree.
Uppercut.
Momochi looks a little out of it right now. Okay, he's got it. Okay, has a chance. Okay, has a chance. What's the answer?
Oh, good throw tech. Well, just goes in there.
Another chance here.
He gets him. Oh, did he get it in time? Did he get it in time? He did. He did. How much damage is this going to do?
It's not going to kill. It needs more.
Oh my God, it killed Momochi.
That was like that pixel right there. I can't believe that killed.
That was karma from all the other rounds that Ryan Hart got, all those comebacks, all come back together into that one kick from Ken to take that round. Wow, Momochi.
And he was like gathering his stuff together or whatever, and you were like thinking, and then you went, all right, yeah. And then it was like, and I was like, what's he what's going on? So what was going on?
So when he won, when the Ultra killed me, I was really shocked that it killed me, actually. That was literally a James Chen, is this going to kill me?
He said it.
Oh, is that where it started?
I think in the commentary he actually says it.
Right, so that,
but I can't remember 100%. I have to go back, but I'm pretty sure I'm pretty sure one of them says it's not going to kill.
And then it kills.
And then it kills.
So the thing is with that, what I'm processing is what happened. Where were the mistakes? Where did I make the mistakes? I'm processing where I made the mistakes, because there were a few mistakes in that sequence he did. There were a few things where there were a few areas where I could have done something that was relatively safe. I definitely gave him 3 opportunities in that sequence when he came back. Like he does like a step kick into a throw, but I could have teched that throw, because Ken doing, I had full meter, by the way. Ken doing, like, so if I teched and he did like DP, FADC, it's not a lot of damage. And there's no cross-up setup after that either. So it would literally just have been me blocking after that and then another guess, right? But letting him throw me gave him a much better setup. So that was a bad mistake from me. The second thing is his cross-up, I could have done a low forward to low profile that tattoo. And even if he went in front, there's also a chance I could have low profiled his in front attack as well.
Okay.
So I had multiple ways out of that. If I did light DP, the tattoo wouldn't have been a grounded hit, and I would have been reset in the air. So, and if he jumped in front, I would have traded and then won. So the thing is I gave him a lot for free in that. So like I gave just blocking. And I remember once he started the sequence, I didn't want to give him free damage, so I just thought, let me block. But when I looked at it back, and when I was thinking in that moment, I was thinking where I messed up. What could I have done differently? Because I immediately want to soak up the experience in the moment so that I can get the most out of it. Because if you let it linger and do it later, sometimes your review is different.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the way you'll review it will be different if you do it later. Sometimes it's good to do it in the moment to see what you can bring up, because that's how your mind's operating then. Okay. Of course, a week later you know all the answers, but what could I have done now?
Yeah.
So I looked at it, and in that moment it was literally like I didn't need to take the tattoo. That was stupid of me. I just felt really stupid, because also there's regular get up and delayed wake up on Ultra, and I think I guessed that wrong as well. Like it was really, I just played really poorly at the end. It wasn't so much what he did was amazing, it was more me just playing. Like that sequence probably wouldn't have worked on anyone else, because people that were more, and the other thing was I wasn't that active then on SF4, because I didn't really like Ultra that much. So you didn't see Sagat like you would normally do. You did see Evil Ryu, like, I wasn't my regular self where I'm super confident in Sagat. I went with different characters, because I hadn't been as active in the game. After 2012 with the Sagat nerfs, I wasn't really enjoying the game as much. I kind of just started Evil Ryu, so I didn't have all the links down like I did much later. And Ryu was my fallback character, because I just knew Ryu is just classic Ryu, so I knew that was a character I'd be able to play. So none of the Ryu was guaranteed. Like when I played Knuckle Dew, when I played Momochi the first time, when I played the winners. But all in all, I felt like it had been a good outing, because I hadn't been practicing that much, but I still managed to beat Momochi in the winners bracket. I beat Knuckle Dew as well. And even when I lost Momochi in the losers bracket, it was like last game, last round in a game where I technically should have won. So as an outing, it wasn't that bad for me, because I know that I could have done much better if I'd been playing as much as I normally play. But I did feel bad that the way I lost was so easy to avoid. There were so many options.
But is that always how you operate? Because when I was seeing it live and seeing you not be like just really salty or like down or whatever, that's why I couldn't figure out what was going through your head, because I couldn't for a second believe that you were considering in that moment at Capcom Cup. I think that was just outside top 8 maybe. To me, I'd be like, well...
No, that was already in top 8. I got 5th in the end.
Oh, you got 5th?
So it was already in top 8,
okay.
yeah.
All right, so already in top 8, got 5th. So even more, right? Even more high stakes. In that moment, high stakes, potentially, if you beat him, you're in, I don't know, top 4, I suppose, whatever, right? Like... And you weren't. You were. I think that was in losers bracket, right?
That was losers bracket.
So you were knocked out of the tournament, and you were knocked out in a way that sucks, because like that last round really looked like there's no way. Like Ryan has this, you know, and yet you were thinking just like any other match, just like any other match, like, oh, what went wrong there?
Yeah, that's all that mattered to me. I lost, I'm upset. That wasn't even in my head at the time. It was, of course, I was gutted to be out the tournament, but it had been a really good show. I'd entertained everyone, which is kind of what I started aiming to do later in my career. When just winning everything wasn't enough anymore. Because at a certain point, when I'd won a lot, and I'd won Evos, and like at a certain point, I wanted to create memorable plays for the community. That wasn't my aim going into Capcom Cup, but having been able to put on quite a show, that was already like nice. But yeah, if people have a great time when they watch me play, like that's enough for me. I like that. If a lot of people wrote me like, oh, you inspired me to play Ryu, or you inspired me to pick up this game.
Oh, that's great.
People like after all different things, not just that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so those things are nice. But yeah, I just feel like in that moment, and me and Momochi, we've been friends for years. Like there's no, we're good friends. I mean, we got a lot of respect for each other, and ultimately he won the whole thing, which is quite funny as well. He actually won the whole tournament.
2014, right?
Yeah, he won that year.
Yeah.
So I was the only person that actually beat Momochi in that tournament.
Oh, really?
I put him in losers bracket, so like no one else beat Momochi. And then in the game,
so he got double jeopardied, but he won.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even remember.
Yeah.
I don't remember the. There's only small parts of it that I remember. I don't remember the whole thing, But
so yeah, and he's a great player. Like there was never any like like he's not good or something, right? He's this.
No, of course not. It's just in the moment you don't see many players like taking a moment to like comprehend what just happened. And that's why I was always like, what the hell is going through that guy's head? And when I finally got to talk to you about it, which was probably a few years ago now, and now we finally got to do the interview, but like I always wanted to talk about it on camera because I thought it was interesting and I thought it was quite,
Yeah, that was my thing back then. Just like process everything, like understand, like learn, use every opportunity as a learning experience. Like, what did I made a mistake there. Like, let me learn from this quickly.
Yeah. And I mean, like Daigo talks about it all the time, right? He talks about improvement. Takedo talks about it. Like they all talk about this idea of it's not necessarily all about just the win. It's getting stronger.
I've always said that, like, because Daigo started playing similar time I did. We're around the same. We come from the same era of this arcade generation, right? But yeah, if you're not learning, it's not productive. It doesn't matter if you win. I'd rather lose every match and learn than win every match and not learn anything.
Well, there's the headline for the video.
Because if you're learning, there's a big important word there called progress happening.
Yeah.
If you're just winning and not learning, there's no progress happening, and it probably the sad truth with that is it probably just means your opponents are not good.
Yeah.
Because to get better, you need to learn by losing.
Right.
To improve, to actually be good, you need to lose a lot first, and then once you've lost enough, those losses generate knowledge, and a really important thing called experience comes from those losses.
Yeah.
And that all builds up into wins in the end.
See, I think I don't want to go on about this, but I've made videos about like the idea of setting up people's expectations with fighting games, so because that actually sounds appealing. You know what I mean? Like that to me sounds appealing. Like rather than, this game's real easy, don't worry, we'll make it easier for you.
It's got to be a road. There's got to be there's got to be a degree of like, Pilgrim's Progress happening. There's got to be that. It can't just be I'm going to pick up, play and win this money. Because I do get a lot of messages on Facebook from random people like, hey, how do I win? How do I win this tournament? How do I become a pro player? How do I get sponsored? Like, I get a lot of questions like that. And everyone thinks there's, a shortcut. If I can talk to the right person, if I can do, but there is hard graft, man.
Was there?
There should be hard graft.
Talking of shortcuts, I wanted to ask you: did you feel at the beginning, or have you felt like there's this conversation of natural talent versus like hard work, like
Rock Lee versus Neji, yeah.
Like where did you feel like?
Yeah, I mean.
Did you feel like when you first played a fighting game?
These words of like talent and potential, they're very dangerous words. I mean, to be fair, they mean nothing at all. They're just words. Unless you produce with those words, they mean nothing at all.
But when you first started playing fighting games, did you feel like, oh, I think I get this a bit more better than other people?
No, I was never aware of that difference. I think that when I played, so I think the biggest competitive game when I was getting into serious one-on-one fighting games was Street Fighter.
Yeah.
And then, you know, that all culminated with Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo. That was the game for a long time.
Yeah.
For some people still is now, right?
Yeah.
And there were always players that I could never beat on Super Turbo. There were players that I could beat consistently, then there's the guys I go even with, but then there's these top dons that you just can't touch.
Yeah.
Can't get a word in, you know, like they're just so good. You know, it wasn't a strange thing to be double perfected by whoever on a Friday night, right?
Sure.
So I was always very modest because I knew what was up, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was many times the only person that could do a dragon punch in my school. You know, that was a big talking topic.
It was, right?
Can you do a fireball?
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
Well, every time. Oh my God. You know, that was a thing.
Those guys needed to play Street Fighter 1. That was when it was impressive to do a fireball.
To do a fireball, it was so hard, right? Could do a dragon punch, don't lie. Like, yeah, that was a thing, man. So yeah, there was that. But yeah, going to the arcade and playing, that became more and more serious. And then when these other fighting games came out, you know, you got your Fatal Fury specials, your Samurai Showdowns. I mean, all kinds of games came out. Killer Instinct, Mortal Kombat showed up. Like, all these fighting games just randomly appeared, you know? And there was no, like, DLC. You got all the characters day one. Everyone's there, ready for, you know, utilization. And it was insane. But then certain games appealed to you a little bit more than others, you know? I feel like I was more attracted to King of Fighters 94 than I was to Killer Instinct, even though Killer Instinct was super pretty and everything. It was just the system of the game was what it really came down to if you were a technical player.
Yeah.
But yeah, I played every game to some degree. But yeah, King of Fighters was the closest to Street Fighter, which I played the most. So that was that crossover.
Except it was 3 characters, but yeah.
Except it was 3 characters, but you know, fundamentally you had this guy's got a fireball, this guy's got a dragon punch, that guy's got a hurricane kind of. You know, like you had that kind of thing.
I always thought Fatal Fury was, but it had 2 lanes, which
that was weird.
Which
confusing.
Yeah.
I hate how the computer could always do the lane switch attack like really easily.
I didn't play a huge amount of Fatal Fury. I just remember thinking. At the time, I remember thinking it kind of looks nice and it kind of plays a bit like Street Fighter, but the 2 lanes was.
They tried something new, like because Real Battle had the 2 lanes and it was really competitive because what you could do is you could knock them down, switch lanes, dash, and then it would be an ambiguous attack if you were in that side of the lane or that side of the lane. So there's like a weird like. If you imagine like nowadays doing a jump cross up or ambiguous jump, that kind of
interesting. That is interesting. So let's talk a little bit more about Street Fighter. So Street Fighter 4, and then at the end of the Street Fighter 4 period, there was a moment I remember very well, which was final round, and the winner of they don't do this anymore, but it was so cool. The winner of final round got to play Combo Fiend
with the new character,
Decapre, and it was so fun watching that because you won final round, and then you just look so confused, like because you're playing maybe I should explain that a little better. But basically, they introduced Decapre as this character. I don't remember exactly what they said or how they did it, but they basically said the winner of final round gets to play against Combo Fiend, who will be playing Decapre.
Yeah, they released Decapre as the latest DLC character for the game, and their intro for her was I play a Combo Fiend in an exhibition with the character I've just won the tournament.
It is a really cool idea.
It's really sick, but I don't think that could work unless you have an expert that plays Street Fighter working at Capcom.
That's true.
Because Ono-san's not going to deliver that. There would need to be.
No, I know.
It would need to be that someone that has access to this character before.
No, I get that. I'm not asking him to do it.
I thought it was really sick. Yeah, like to have someone there ready to show, because you also get to see what the character looks like in a match, right? And that's better than just a video.
But I remember you were like, I think maybe you played 1 match or maybe best 3. I'm not sure.
I think it was our first 3. I didn't know what was going on.
But I remember you were trying to figure it out straight away. But you were like, nah, there's just...
Towards the end, I had a better understanding, but it was just nuts.
It was so I mean, nutso character as well. I didn't actually like the character. I never liked the character. I'm you know,
I liked her. She was fun, man. She was so much fun.
I just found her annoying. Like, I don't like. There are certain characters I just find annoying, and like to watch, I find them annoying, and like, especially when Infiltration sort of just stood on the side of the screen and just would be zipping back and forth, and you just feel, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, what's going on?
Yeah, like what's going on? And then like you'd have one. I remember Momochi. I think Momochi played Infiltration. Infiltration completely destroyed Momochi, and then for some reason Daigo knew exactly when to throw fireballs.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I don't remember what tournament that was.
At Red Bull Kumite or something. You just knew what it was going to do. Yeah, I remember that.
It was the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
Because it was like they both threw fireballs, but it was like Daigo's hit. And I was like, what's going on? So let's fast forward a bit, because we've probably done a good amount of time.
Okay.
We'll probably have to do another interview at some point and just talk more, because you're fascinating. You've got so much going on. I want to talk a little bit about Street Fighter 5.
Sure.
So this weekend, well, let's just start with the leak. You know, what thoughts on that? Like.
Yeah, I think I'm really frustrated with that, because I feel like if you're a part of the scene, you also want to preserve what's good about the scene. So anyone that's got content to leak or has access to, content, and then, has to decide whether it gets leaked or whatever, like, if you're a part of this community, why would you want to do that? That doesn't make any sense to me.
But I don't think the leaker, as far as, didn't it just happen on Steam?
I have no idea.
Oh, so okay, so
was it because
I think Steam uploaded it early.
Because you can't schedule things on Steam, right? So you can't have it come out like later, for example.
Yeah.
So
it sounds like there may have been a miscommunication. So
exactly.
So one of the things I just interviewed. God, I don't know what order I'm going to put these out in. I like them to be a surprise, but I just interviewed somebody who suggested that maybe these kind of like this sort of, and it's available now to play, is probably not a good idea, because it seems to have backfired twice now with Kage and with this. Maybe it's like
it worked with Sagat and G.
Yeah,
that was it, because it worked then. That they thought, I
mean, it's cool, but if it's gonna end up with like these. Either literally an early release of a character, which is crazy, or like Steam puts up a. That's what I think happens.
It's just very disappointing, because of all the events. I mean, Evo is the big one, and it's just a real shame. We haven't had anything for SF5 for a good while now as well, so there was a lot of anticipation.
Yeah.
Being it, that we're at Evo as to what we were going to get.
Yeah.
So. I mean, it creates more talking points at the event that now we know what we're going to get, but at the same time, it's not as hyped now, because after the tournament, there might not be anything, so that's a bit of a downer. I think ultimately, though, for the game's prosperity, it doesn't mean anything at all, because the characters will come out and they'll be played, and that's great, right?
Any thoughts on the characters themselves? Do you play Street Fighter 5?
Honda, yeah, a little bit. Honda is not a character I was personally excited about.
No one is.
But there seems to be a lot of excitement about Honda. I don't know who.
No, he looks fun. I'm gonna mess with him for sure.
Yeah.
But it's kind of a bit of a meme that everyone is suddenly like, why? But he finishes off the 12 World Warriors.
Right? He had to be in there.
Yeah. I love his stage.
The new character didn't look that super appealing to me.
Lucia? Yeah, Lucia from Final Fight?
Yeah, she didn't look that super
it's Final Fight's 30th anniversary this year, so I don't know if we're not... Because I've genuinely thought we were going to get some sort of Final Fight game. Like a HD remix or something, right?
That'd be cool.
But there's been nothing. But what we've seen is Poison, Lucia, and just, all the other Final Fight characters leading up to this year. It's literally the 30th anniversary this year.
Would have been cool to get like Hugo or someone. That would have been nice. I would have liked a Hugo.
Yeah, we got Abigail, so that was their take on Hugo, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
Basically.
Or Hagar, like a nice Hagar.
Well, that's what's interesting, is that they have pushed the story forwards, right? Why? Like, that's what's confusing to me. I'm still thinking maybe there must be a Final Fight game, because why are they so interested in pushing the lore of Final Fight forwards? Why does Cody have to be the mayor? I've got all these questions like from a story perspective. But I mean, Lucia and then Poison.
I'm very interested in Poison.
All the pro players keep saying, like all the people who are
She doesn't have a projectile now, so it suggests she might be quite technical.
Okay.
And yeah, I'm very interested in what that looks like at a high level. So yeah, she'd be the one I'd go. You know, even more than Lucia. Even though she might be a good character, Lucia, I would be more interested, interested to test that.
Why no interest in Lucia? Because Lucia looks kind of flashy. Is there?
I don't know. I think I had a lot of interest in Falk, but then when her command list came out and I saw what the inputs were, that kind of put me off a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it was very fiddly, and I just thought I don't want to be doing that. Holding buttons down to charge. I don't.
Oh yeah.
And I don't like that there's some visual cue as to when you can let this thing go, so that the guy knows on the other side of the screen that you can. Like if Guile's holding back for Sonic Boom, when Sonic Boom is ready to go, his hands don't flash yellow, do they? Because the player knows his character. I don't think Falke's thing should flash purple, so everyone's being alerted that this move's ready to rock.
Right.
You know, it should be able to like go when you want it to go.
Right.
But anyway, yeah. So I think because Falke looked really cool, but then the command list was a bit daunting. I think I'm also not that excited about Lucia right now. But you never know. Like when I actually. And also with me in general, like I don't really get hyped from trailers or like announcements. I get hyped when I have the thing in my hands and I experience it and it feels great. That's when I'm like, this is my character. Until then, I never actually know. A character can look amazing on a trailer. I mean, that's the purpose of a trailer, right? But until I get it in my hands, I don't know if it's for me. It might be a great character, it just might not be my great character.
Yeah.
So I'm very like, I need the practical, I need the hands-on. Yeah, to know if it's for me or not. And I also don't want to get excited and then it's not for me, so I'll be disappointed. So I just don't have any opinion in the beginning. I just, okay, that looks okay. Let's see what it feels like later on.
Yeah, it's so interesting that I'm able to talk about this reveal with people like
ahead of time.
I mean, like
Really.
it is a shame. I'm not even joking about that. Like I actually do enjoy a surprise. I think we all do. So. Yeah, it is what it is, but I mean, like, the one upside I have is being able to at least talk to a few people about it. Although by the time these videos come out, people will have been testing the hell out of it because they're going to come out on Sunday anyway. So that'll be interesting. One final question, because I think we'll wrap it up. But one final question: Tekken 7.
Yeah.
Since I feel like out of all of these games, if Virtua Fighter was still going, maybe that would be like your main game, and you're still playing, but it's not your main thing. But it feels like Tekken is where like you've got quite a rich history of you won a couple of Evos, and you told us that wonderful story of beating the Korean champion, all these amazing things, right? Tekken 7 by many is considered tremendous game. I mean, what are your thoughts on Tekken 7? Because you've seen them quite a lot of Tekken.
Oh, it's definitely one of the best Tekken games ever. It's definitely one of the best Tekken games ever, yeah, for sure. The slow motion is super hype. It's still in this day and age delivering super high skill ceiling, like really solid technical prowess is required on that game. I mean, you're not just going to step on it and just like be really good. Like you have to spend a lot of time training your movement, training your execution, training your combos, learning the stages, so you know what combos to do based on where the walls are, or what the way you want to end your combo, because there's a wall break at the end or floor break or whatever. So
I always think that desktop combo with Akuma, the fireball.
So there's a lot of situational knowledge that you need to have in your arsenal, and that's one element of the game that if you're from this period of wanting it to be really hardcore and technical, like Tekken 7 delivers in that department. Are you also accessible enough that if you don't want that, you can get into it easily? Yeah,
sure. I've had a lot of conversations about feel-based players and technical players recently with Tekken players, which is really interesting. I find that fascinating because it's the only game where people talk about that.
Right.
Where do you? One final question, I guess, is what's your stance on the guest characters? Because it's a legacy game, it's sort of like one of those games where people say it's so great because I played it 10 years ago and I can pick it up and I can still play it and it's the same but more. And a lot of the Korean players that I've interviewed in the past have said, I hate these new characters because they bring in new mechanics and whatever. And then there are a few people who are a bit more like, no, I love them. Where are you at?
I mean, I think my perspective might be a bit different though, because I play both games, like, you know.
Oh, you play all those games?
Well, I mean, I play Street Fighter, you know.
You got Geese.
I've played Street Fighter professionally, and I've played Tekken professionally, so I don't need that character in that game, because I already play that character in the game he's supposed to be built for.
Oh,
so
okay.
I don't need a watered down version of him in another game.
Oh, interesting.
So for me personally, it's not necessary to have Akuma in Tekken.
Okay.
Just because he's nowhere near as good as he is. He doesn't have half the moves he has in his game.
Okay.
So...
And Geese? Or
I mean,
the same thing?
Geese... I love Geese in Tekken. That I really like. Because it's Geese, and he's such a badass character, right? Akuma seems to annoy a lot of Tekken players, which I don't like, because you're kind of destroying the game you created by doing that. Like, if everyone loved him, that would be cool, but I'm hearing more complaints than happiness, you know, than happy comments about him. So I think that shows you it doesn't fit. You know, if everyone's telling you I don't like this, and only a few people like it, it's probably not worth it, right?
What about the sort of characters?
But I will say that the way that Bandai Namco have put them in the game and made it work is really impressive.
Yeah.
That's not easy to do.
Yeah. I mean, there's also a marketing side to it as well, obviously, which is a huge deal.
Obviously, yeah.
You know, like, I play Akuma, so, like, when he came out in Tekken, I was like, let me have a go, because that was fun for me. And then, of course, they've been experimenting. God knows what they're going to announce, if they announce anything this weekend, but God knows what it would be, because...
I like Negan as well.
Well, that's what I was going to say, Negan. Like...
Being a Walking Dead fan, I was really happy with Negan.
I mean, he would have been built from the ground up as a Tekken character. But he comes from, like, some other universe.
Yeah, no, but I really like the... Yeah, exactly. Because he's a Tekken character, that really works for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I think Geese is really well fit in the game, because it's still... It's a Tekken character, but it's... I mean, he does have his 2D elements as well, but it's a great transfer from his world to the Tekken world. He fits, you know, he fits the scene. So yeah, he's just a hype character.
Wow.
Super hype.
All right, well, on that, this was a hype interview. I really enjoyed learning so much about you, Ryan. Thank you so much for your time.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
It's been awesome. And we're gonna say goodbye to these guys. See you guys.
See ya. Thanks for watching.
It's the end of the bloody video. Thank you again to R Street Fighter and all of my supporters who nominated, voted and contributed to send me, and also Just Power Marine to Evo. I want to thank my patrons who are on screen now, particularly my biggest backers, Nathan Duncan, Terrence Harris, You Ain't Jeff and Steven Sense. New patrons are in green. Welcome. Thank you. You're making a difference. Twitch subs. You make a difference. Of course, you get shout outs on stream. Follow me on Twitch, people. The link is down below. Put the notifications on. I'm on pretty much every day at the moment, but it's a loose schedule because of my editing currently. Look out for the rest of my interviews from Evo. If you're new to the channel, check out some of my classic interviews and skits. There's a lot in there, particularly if you're a player and you want to understand a new player or a player coming up, you want to understand the mindset of some of the top players. Check it out. Until next time, see ya. Oh, and subscribe! Subscribe!